That's a funny word.
Dongle.
Dongle.
I love it.
That's a really funny word.
Dongle. It makes sense for what it is, I think. Hi, welcome back to Always on Film.
I didn't do it.
This has been a take 2.
Yeah.
It's been a chaotic day. This is the first part of our BFI Flare
Yay.
episode.
Yeah.
We're enjoying the BFI Flare.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
It's been such an
honestly.
amazing festival
Yeah.
so far. We're still in the middle of it.
Still in the
got
middle of
a
it.
few more days left.
Yeah, we've had really great opportunities to see some incredible films.
Yeah.
So if you have the chance to just, even in retrospect, do some research on all of the films and filmmakers highlighted there, definitely take a second because phenomenal movies. I saw 2 documentary style films I want to shout out. Just really quickly before we head into it, I watched Outlaws and a movie called To Dance Is to Resist. I'm not going to say anything more because I'm not quite sure on release date for them. But just to our listeners, keep an eye out for those 2 documentary style films. They are incredible, both of them.
Great.
Yeah.
I'll just do a quick little bit of a history lesson for the both of you. So the BFI Flare, it's its 40th anniversary.
Yeah.
So
Really
there's lots of colourful, advertising for it at the moment.
Yeah.
In the BFI, they've kind of re-stickered everything. It looks very cool. It started in 1986 and actually was initially held at the National Theatre. It wasn't always with the BFI.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so for the first 2 years, it was a week-long event at the National Theatre, and it was called Gay's Own Pictures. Then 2 years later, it became BFI London Lesbian and Gay Film Festival, which was the name of the festival up until 2014, and it became BFI Flare. So it's kind of funny because if you know London, if you don't, National Theatre is literally right next door.
Right next door.
So it didn't move very far when it moved. But yeah, I think it's such a lovely festival.
It is.
And I think it's amazing that it's got to 40 years.
It is. We're
strong.
celebrating 4 decades of queer cinema this year. And this is the first year we've all been involved, I believe. First year, and it's been an incredible experience so far. Like the love and care and detail.
It's been so welcoming as well.
Amazing, especially as newbies. They've really taken us in. Even like we went to the press drinks last week. Everyone's so lovely. The staff, the team, and the BFI is such a lovely location for it.
And you can tell that everyone involved in it. BFI team, festival team, filmmaker teams, cast and crew, everybody's loving it.
And so proud.
And so proud, and it's been a fantastic week so far.
And this year we have 65 feature films and 62 shorts, and that makes up 31 world premieres, which is of course why it means so much to so many people. For a lot of people, this is the first time they've ever had an audience watch their film for the first time. That must be so scary. I can't even imagine, being sat there next to a room full of people watching your art.
Oh, scary.
It's so vulnerable, but it's, I mean, I cannot think of a more safe and encouraging space to do it in other than the BFI Flare.
Yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of that safe audience, I guess is a nice little segue into the film that this episode is spotlighting, which is Satisfaction by Alex Burunova. Which is, I found, it's such a beautifully shot film. It's stunning. When it's out in cinema, please go see it just for the sound design alone.
I was gonna say we watched it on a small screen, and then we were fortunate enough to see it on the big screen, and the sound. It's magnificent how much it really, you can feel it in your bones. And we had the luxury of talking to Alex, which will be a later part of this episode, and she tells us a little bit more about the history, how that sound came together and the intention behind it. And if you have the chance to see that film on a big screen, even if it's just purely for the sound and for the looks of it, do it.
Yeah, what blew my mind was the attention to detail. I mean, watching it as a viewer, anyway. The whole sensory experience you're getting from all angles is completely all-encompassing and so invigorating, but then actually getting the opportunity to break each sort of thematic segment down with Alex and get sort of a behind-the-scenes view into what actually went into that
and it
was so eye-opening, wasn't it?
And also just, you know, she spent a decade on this.
Yeah.
And, or like 8 and something years, which is a decade. And it shows. It shows. And it's incredible, you know, what this film means to her. And I think it will mean to a lot of people when they see it. And it's a movie about a very vulnerable, you know, topic, and about finding, you know, losing yourself, finding yourself again. And it's Alex and her story around this film and how, you know, she speaks about it, I find incredibly motivating and just so empowering as a like as a woman.
Yeah.
It was one of the most, you know, the conversation that we have here, which you're gonna hear later on. I have very rarely been left as, you know, speechless and empowered by someone that I've been in a room with.
Yeah.
And you felt that when you watched the film, I think.
Yeah.
Is you
felt her voice through it.
Yeah. And by the end, I felt speechless, but also empowered.
Yeah.
Because I felt very confronted by it. And it was, I think, uncomfortable in a way that was so purposeful and intentional.
Yeah.
We watched it together, didn't we, for the first time? And I remember we kind of just sat in silence, but at the end, just processing it.
I just said, I need a minute. And then I had to go watch like an action film to just clear my brain.
I think as well, a lot of people that listen to us on Always on Film and a lot of fellow people at the BFI Flare, we're all creatives in some capacity. And I think the film was so beautiful in itself, but seeing it through the eyes of our two main characters, Philip and Lola, and they're both creatives, they're both composers, and I think having that added element added a layer of relatability, which just added another layer on top of all the emotions you're feeling, because there's a deeper sort of level of understanding in that coming with us with similar backgrounds, imagining what we would do in situations like that. Some of us probably have experienced similar situations to some that are covered in the film, and so I just think it just felt close to home in a good, confronting, but also honest and vulnerable and raw way. And so
she wasn't like, it's really a story that I think a lot of people would shy away from. And it you know, I always think like, that must have taken so much like emotion and power and braveness to put on. And it's wonderful to see how it's been received, how the audience reacted to it. And you know, it's incredible to see Alex up on a stage after the viewing doing a Q&A and hearing and seeing how the movie resonates with people and moves people. And and I mean, also from a production standpoint, it's a phenomenal film. It is based in 2 different timelines. We're not going to go into any spoilers.
And locations.
Exactly. But it's such a smart use of not only sound, but also, you know, in the post-editing, in using color grading to support different states of emotion. And you know, I think we can say that the through line is very much a story of someone who loses themselves in a relationship, which unfortunately is oftentimes the case, especially in, you know, in I guess like modern creative circles. And it's about her regaining her voice, regaining herself, finding herself again, and the way that was underlined throughout the film through like literally the loss of color and the loss of not really color, but like the loss of warmth and color
and
sound and you know, and that was all given. I'm not gonna like say too much, but that was like the way that was incorporated and wrapped up by the end. It is just phenomenal. I think you can watch that film looking at it from a story standpoint, and it's going to mean a lot to you, but also as someone who appreciates film and who sees those little tweaks.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal to see how every little detail was really such a representation of this story and this emotional life. And I mean, honestly, like head off to like, wow, the entire that entire production.
It's
wow.
such a gut punch of a film, and I think it keeps you guessing as well.
Yeah.
It's so intentional and detailed, and I think, like Luelle was saying, it has a bit for every type of film enjoyer, which I think is very much what this podcast is as well. Is like you said, if you're just watching something for a story, it has that element. If you're watching something from an acting perspective, it's 2 masterclass performances right there. And if you're watching it from a production standpoint, everything is thought through. Every choice is a choice. It's not just there.
It was only about an hour and 40 minutes, I think, and it just made me think about the amount that you can really pack a punch. There's so much these days that are like even up to 2.5 hours. So amazing.
Exactly. So I think we should go into the interview with Alex now.
Enjoy.
Thank you so much for taking the time to meet us.
Genuinely,
thank you so much. We are so excited to have you here.
We've done a little bit of an introduction to Satisfaction for our listeners, but I suppose we just wanted to start and open up the conversation quite broadly and just start with asking, what was sort of the history behind this project, how it came to fruition, and how did it sort of come about?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. It started 10 years ago. It started with a theater piece I was directing, and an actress asked me for a piece of backstory for her character. And I just like blurted something out. And I realized like, oh, wait, that's something that I went through, haven't processed, haven't told anyone, and just blurted out to this actress as a piece of backstory for her character. I should probably deal with it. I should probably look into it, write it down. And so, it started as a series of scenes for a directing workshop about 2 people on vacation on a beautiful island, and they're not talking about something. They're avoiding an elephant in the room. They're dancing on eggshells about a subject matter. And, obviously, the more the story developed, it turned into a feature film script, and based on something I went through when I was in college. And then hundreds of drafts later, 8 years later, we had a script to shoot on set. And then we threw it away because I told my actors to improvise.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
Wow.
That's I was going to say I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Crazy.
most lines were improvised.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which is really I was going to say that's actually really interesting because of course yes, there's dialogue, but it's not a dialogue heavy film.
Yeah.
So when watching it and then thinking about it after, stepping away from it, those lines had so much power, so much impact. Yeah.
I think it's not because of the line, it's the words in the line. I think it's because of the intention behind each line.
Yeah.
And their intentions were so real because they came from the heart of the actors.
Yeah.
They felt powerful because of that.
Yeah.
I think if you wrote down what they said, I think it wouldn't be as powerful as watching it on screen.
Not as organic, maybe even, right?
Yeah.
How was the process of creating, the movie doesn't have a linear story structure? How was that? Because that must have been a lot of mapping out, a lot of
logistics.
Yeah, I guess also just finding the right time for the vulnerable pieces, for the twisting points, for that emotional depth. How was that for you, coming up with that linear structure?
Yeah, so the film takes place, for those who don't know, in 2 parallel timelines, present-day Greece and 2 years prior in London. And so in the middle between the 2 storylines is a traumatic event that kind of connects them. My room looked like, have you seen A Beautiful Mind?
Yeah.
It looked just like that. I have photos of that. I had all this like pieces of script and photos and like, I painted the storyboards and my paintings on the wall and like the past was one color, the present was another color.
Wow.
And then I was mapping out escalation and de-escalation of emotion. So it was like all these waves on the wall. I mean, it was crazy. And I would take it with me. So I would stay in hotel rooms and I would put it up on the wall. So the staff at hotel rooms probably thought like,
You were
Like,
crazy.
what was she doing?
crazy
A detective
person.
or something.
Yes, except except they're a detective of like watercolor paints.
Yeah. A really artsy detective.
Yeah. Yeah, but I spent a lot of time mapping out the emotional intensity of the film and like how to come back from past to present at which point in each scene. And I spent 2 years just on that, where I wasn't really writing new scenes or rewriting dialogue. I was only focusing on the structure. And I think it paid off because when we got into post-production, when we got into editing room, we didn't change a lot. There was like 2 scenes that we moved. We tried a couple of things, but we put them back.
Yeah.
And there were 2 scenes that changed original location, but the rest stayed.
Yeah. So
that's
the work
really
paid off in that
interesting.
regard.
The work paid off, but I swear to you,
Yeah.
I always wondered what those like cleaning ladies at the hotels were thinking.
Yeah, to be fair, if you walk in, you've just got words and watercolor paintings all over the like walls. I'd be like, okay,
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah.
I'd be very intrigued.
And I would leave a note like, "This is a non-stick tape. It will not damage the wall.
Oh,
Thank you so
don't
much."
hate me.
Yeah. Don't try to take it off.
So Satisfaction obviously follows the relationship between Lola and Philip, who are both composers. One of the biggest takeaways that we all got from it was the impact of music and sound. And Midori Hirano's score was absolutely captivating and compelling, and not only in accelerating the film experience as a whole, but also their psychology and individuality with the characters and their emotional journeys. And we're going to touch on this in a bit, but also the absence of sound and music felt so intentional and poignant. And I suppose our question is, what role did music play for you? And was it something that evolved quite naturally over time, or was it something that you specifically knew exactly what you wanted?
Thank you so much. Yes, a lot of this was written into the script. I write my sound and music notes into the script. I write the cues into the script, and like there were a few scenes that were silent. It's written in the script. But then, of course, you find happy accidents along the way. So as you mentioned, I was working with Midori Hirano. Lola was supposed to be a classical pianist, right? And so we were working with Midori before the cameras even rolled. I already knew who was playing Lola, but we didn't know anything else really. And so Midori was composing this classical score, and then we did this really long 5-hour session, and we both got tired. So I was like, let's take a break, let's have a coffee and just chat. So like when you were Lola's age, when you were 25, when you were studying in the conservatoire, what were you doing? How was your work? And she's so cute. She was like, yeah, I got so bored of classical music that I went out with my recorder and I started recording like AC units and factory noise and trucks. And I would weave them in with the classical score. And I was like, what?
Like, oh,
Midori, this is amazing. Can I hear any of this?
yeah.
So she plays it for me. And it's so interesting. And I'm like, this is it. This
It's
is
so
what
different.
we have to do this for this character. So that's how we found Lola's sound.
Yeah.
So Lola is a classically trained pianist, but she goes around and she records the natural sounds of the world, and she incorporates them as musical instruments into her pieces.
Yeah.
And from there, I realized, in the story, after the traumatic event, she kind of loses her ability to compose and loses her ability to hear. So in those parts of the film in Greece, I felt it's appropriate to have no music at all.
Yeah.
So there is no score. There is only a little bit of music when they go into tavern that play, like we see the band play their music. But other than that, there was no score, and it's really hard to have no score in a film. So what we did was we recorded 1,000 over 1,000 of sounds on the island where we shot. Random sounds, the kind Midori Hirano would record, like donkeys and crickets and ferry and engines and trucks, just randomness, really. And then Midori, together with our sound designer Javier Umpieres, took those sounds and created non-musical score for the film. So those scenes that don't have music, they do.
Yeah,
It just
they have
doesn't have any.
sound.
It just doesn't have any musical instruments. But the sounds that are there, they follow the same patterns as a musical piece would. Repetition, escalation, rhythm. You just have to listen to it. And so that was one piece of it. Another piece was when we're in the past in London. This is more about the soundtrack. You know, this is like when they're young, they're falling in love. Everything is exciting, everything is new, and I wanted to have wall-to-wall music in every scene. So I don't know if you noticed, but like there are almost no silent scenes. I think there's only one, and it's like a scene that not a good thing happens in it. But we found a bunch of London-based composers, musicians, and a lot of their this was a lot of their debut albums, debut singles, and we used them in the film. Yeah.
How was it for, because one of the things that stood out to me the most about this use of sound was the use of silence. And there's a particular scene that happens towards the end of the story between Lola, our main character, and Eleanor, that provides Lola with safety, I'd say, because of silence. Because we don't hear her speak, but we know she's speaking. Was that something, and I mean, you've touched on this, that you write, you know, your sound cues, your music cues into the script. Or, you know, we also have certain scenes where Lola is screaming without sound. Was that something that was also deliberately planned, or was that something that I guess came in the process of shooting those scenes?
Yeah, I think 50-50. Like the scene you're talking about where they're on a shore and, you know, she's telling her new friend what happened, but we can't hear it. The waves are too loud. That was written in the script just as is. And we tried to see what it's like if we hear what she's saying, because we recorded it and it wasn't as powerful because we know what she's saying. We've just seen it. But then there are moments where she screams without sound. Like that one was a funny one. We didn't have this scene planned at all. I knew, like, I went to location scout in this house, and 1 year, like 2 years before we shot, there was this like massive fog that rolled in over the sea and onto the house, and it felt like the fog is coming towards the house and is about to cover it. And I was like, wow. And I asked the local people, what is happening? And they said, this is very rare. It happens like once every 5-10 years. And I was like, oh man, I guess we'll have to like do visual effects for this, but because I love it. And so I was talking to all these visual effects people, and they were like, yeah, we can do it, but it's going to be so expensive, ha. So I wrote it off. I'm like, okay, there's
Never mind.
We are a really low budget film, like we can't afford this. And then we're shooting another completely unrelated scene, and I look out and the fog is rolling in. And this is like 2 years after I saw the first one. And I told the crew, like, guys, let's go upstairs. Let's all go to the rooftop. We need to shoot this fog. It's rolling in just like exactly the way I wanted the VFX to do it, but they won't do it.
Yeah.
So we can catch it now. And so when we got there, the actress, they didn't know what the scene was because it wasn't in the script, because I took it out and we couldn't afford it. And that's something Emma improvised, Emma Laird. So I think, you know, it's 50-50 on the use of silences. Some of it was written into the script. Some of it, the actors were just so in tune with their characters and each moment that they've improvised. And it felt appropriate to take the sound out because, you know, the real antagonist in the film is silence. It's the female silence. I'm going to do an asterisk here.
Yes.
It's something that we live in. It's something that we're, you know, indoctrinated to do, to keep quiet and, you know, absorb everything in silence. And that is very present in the film. And that's what Emma, our actress, knew that to me was important to portray, and our sound designer. So he would take out the voice from the actress. He would take out her voice in certain places because it's about that. It's about losing your voice, losing your ability to speak up, and losing your agency to speak up.
Yeah, and I also, I guess, building on that, one of the things I really wanted to touch on was that it was a story of somebody reclaiming their voice, losing their voice. All of the non-linear trauma experience and life that's associated with that. And I think it's a story that, you know, not exactly like that, but I've heard a lot from especially women. And I guess, is there, knowing personal connection to it, is there a part of you that feels like now that you've been able to share this story, you're able to reclaim your voice a little bit through it?
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Big time. I mean, you know, after college, after film school, I didn't create anything. I didn't write anything because I didn't feel like I have a story. I didn't feel like I deserved to tell my story. I mean, this is all obviously self-imposed. This feeling like you're not enough. You don't, like, nobody's going to care about this. Nobody's going to listen. But slowly, as I worked through this film and my own trauma, I realized that this is completely fabricated. You know, I think every woman, every person deserves to have their voice heard, deserves to hear their story, deserves to have their story heard. Like, every person has a story, you know? And, like, the more I realize what the film is really about, it's about that. It's about reclaiming your agency, reclaiming this feeling that you're worthy of being heard. Now I have a lot to say. Now I won't shut up.
I went to a talk yesterday as part of the BFI Flare that was with Cheryl Danier, who did The Watermelon Woman and who's such a big icon in the film scene, especially in the, you know, LGBT plus community. And one of the things that stuck with me the most is she said, your silence won't protect you. And I think as a woman, you're taught by society oftentimes that silence is what protects you.
Yes.
And that's what keeps you, quote unquote, in line.
Yeah.
And it really, I texted my mum about it after, and that really struck me. And she said a similar thing. She was like, at the beginning, she was like, I don't know if I have anything to say, or if I have anything to share. But she said, the second I realized that my silence and me not sharing isn't protecting me and isn't getting me anywhere and isn't making me develop, that's when her life turned around.
Yeah. I mean, even if you look at, like, the boardrooms, the workforce, women are less likely to raise their hand. Women are less likely to speak up at meetings, yet women, on average, are more qualified.
Yeah.
And if you look
Why
at
do
that,
we do that?
Yeah.
Why do we do that?
we are indoctrinated. We're taught to do that since we're little girls. Like, you have a period, shh, don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Somebody looked at you wrong or touched you, don't say anything.
Don't mention it.
Don't mention it. Somebody at work was inappropriate, don't say anything. It's better. If you don't, then you can keep your job. I mean, we are so indoctrinated to stay quiet, polite, to please everyone. And I think, you know, that's what's wrong with the world.
And in the industry as well, as creatives, as female creatives, there feels still now that there's so much that's inaccessible. And we've still got such a long way to go in opening those opportunities and those doors for us and speaking out about that. And one thing I found really interesting, particularly since there's a lot of creative people in the film as well, but the aspect with Philip and his privilege, his artistic privilege, and his gender privilege, and his nepotism privilege, and the impact that had in bubbling away at the surface, in kind of fracturing their relationship a little bit. And I wondered if, you know, leading on from this conversation, we could touch a little bit on, you know, is that perhaps something that you've experienced as a creative? And because I love it when we kind of call the industry out on it. And I really love seeing moments like that in cinema, in film, because I think it's still so important to talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, some of it was based on personal experience, things I've seen my friends go through. And, I went to a really prestigious film school. So there was a lot of privilege and like my own privilege as well as a white woman. But I was talking to a lot of my friends after seeing this film. A lot of my girlfriends were like, wow, that's so wild that you've covered this. This happened to me when I was dating someone and they took credit for my work. And or I was with someone who, was kind of on the same level in film school, but now they're doing so much better because of their gender privilege, because of their connections of their parents or whatnot. It's a real thing. And we have to, if we're trying to portray real life, we have to call it out. It's there. It exists. We have to see that privilege for what it is.
Were you ever scared of telling that side of the story?
Not at all.
Good.
Not at all.
That's the answer we wanted.
No, why? Scared why? No.
I think sometimes it can feel really intimidating. I think we're two young girls who are trying to find our footing in the industry. And sometimes I think it's scary to know that you are calling out the wrongdoing that people are they're consciously doing. Does that make sense?
Yes, it should be empowering.
Yeah.
That's why I answered like that.
Yeah.
Not at all. Opposite. It felt good.
Yeah.
It felt good to say, this is wrong. It felt good to say, this person, this character has an enormous privilege, an enormous leg up. And, look at the career trajectories of these two characters in the beginning of the film versus at the end of the story linearly, right? What a difference. And we have to look at it, and we have to call it out. We have to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to stay the same.
Exactly. And then it will never be seen, and we don't want that.
We're not doing that. We're done with that.
Yeah.
We're done with that.
We've also got too much to say.
Yeah.
We've got too much to say because we haven't been able to say what we wanted to say for so long.
Yeah. For centuries.
Centuries. Yeah. And especially in the current situation of the world where it feels like we're going back on some things.
Yes.
And it's the most harrowing experience and I think every single woman listening to this will have one instance in their life, at least one, I have a billion, where I was made feel like I had less of an importance than a male in the room. But I had a lot more to say and I had a lot more knowledge. Or it's not even about knowledge, I just had, more balls.
Yes.
To do it.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. It was funny. I was going through I was on a festival circuit maybe 10 years ago with one of my short films, and I was dating a soccer player. It has nothing to do with film. Can't even talk about it. Doesn't know. But we would go to festivals, and people would come, and they knew that I'm a director and writer of this short, and I would turn to him and ask him questions about the short. And he would say, oh, I'm not in the industry. And they would kind of just turn to me, but then go back to asking him about his opinion on the themes in the film. And he was like, wow, I've never experienced this until now. And that makes me so uncomfortable. I can't imagine how that makes you feel.
Yeah, I was going to say, be in the other shoes.
Yeah, so this is very common. And indeed, we're going back on some things right now. But pendulum is always swinging, and it's up to us.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Since we are a film-based podcast, so we talk about film and what motivates us, I guess, are there some movies that you maybe want to mention that in this process supported you, gave you space, motivated you, or maybe even angered you? Was there? I know, big question, but
I'm always like, no, not the top 5 movies.
Not even that, but
Yeah.
it can literally, sometimes I think you watch a movie that you really hate, but that really motivated you. Sometimes you watch a movie that you really loved and it picked up on a conversation that you felt like maybe didn't fulfill something.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be your favorite, but just something that stuck with you in this process.
Yes, there is a lot of films. I I have really bad memory.
Fair.
And it's somebody said bad memory and good health is a secret to happiness. I'm definitely a very happy person. I'm super healthy and I can't remember many things. So when I watch a film I don't like, I just forget it.
Yeah.
It never happened.
Yeah, it doesn't suck.
So I can't speak to that. But films that inspired me. Oh, listen, there's so many. I'm a cinephile. I've been watching films since I was a little girl, and I skipped school so much. And there was a movie theater next to my school, and I would like go and I would spend hours, 6-8 hours in this movie theater. I would skip entire days and watch like everything they had in there. But some films that inspired me, Persona, Ingmar Bergman's film, really inspired me. Because it was one of those films that you feel, you can't really like over intellectualize it. It's so immersive and you just feel through it. And it's like a wave. It takes you on the journey and you have to like stay with it. and it gets you there in the end. Blue Valentine is another great film. Derek Cianfrance. I bawled my eyes out. And the reason I thought was I kind of tried to study it when I was looking at the nonlinear structure and how he goes from past to present, and the juxtaposition between a couple falling in love and a couple breaking up and going back and forth between the two is just so heartbreaking. There's so much feeling in that, and that's something that definitely was inspiring for me for Satisfaction, and it gave me permission to go there and just go back and forth and set the movie in two timelines instead of just doing a few flashbacks, and like really commit to showing the past a lot. That was a good one. Sex and Lucia by Julio Medem is the Spanish film that I really love. I actually met him in Mallorca. My film won an award, and he was the one who awarded it.
That's such a full circle moment.
He didn't speak English, so we didn't get a chance to chit chat, unfortunately. And my Spanish is just not good enough right now. But we've exchanged a couple of words, and I was so emotional about that. But his film Sex and Lucia is improvised for the most part, and it's so free, and it's about this woman's sexuality and her going through grief on this island in Menorca, I think. But I thought it was so tactile, and the story kind of like, again, it's one of those narratives that's not super linear. It doesn't have a 3-act structure that's very obvious. You're kind of just like going with it and exploring it. It's like a wave. It takes like a river. It takes you and you have to go with it, and it delivers also. It's a very emotional film, but you have to let go. When I, at the introductions to the screenings, when I'm there, I tell people, it's a quiet film, so I hope you let it wash over. And the idea behind it is, I hope you let the narrative take you on a journey and like relax into it and let go.
Let the story unfold.
Those are, there's so many, guys, seriously. I love Her, that sci-fi film, Spike Jonze. So many, oh my god. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Big one.
And for our listeners who aren't at the BFI Flare, is there anything that they can look out for to keep an eye on the movement of Satisfaction, maybe where they could catch it coming up? Or is there any other projects on your radar at the moment they can keep an eye out for?
Yeah, we're screening actually at the Manchester Film Festival right afterwards. So if you don't catch it in London, get on a train.
Take a train.
Take a train for 2 hours. You can see it in Manchester. No, I'm kidding. But we have quite a few festivals, but we cannot announce them.
Of course,
Yes, and the idea is we're talking to distributors. We're hoping to find a good home for the film. And fingers crossed we will this year. So hopefully audiences all over can catch it in theaters.
Amazing.
I'm again, like I said to you, I can't wait to see it on the big screen. I can't wait to see it on the big screen. It got so much emotion out of me watching it on a small screen.
Oh, you just wait.
I was, I'm
just
like,
wait.
In a room full of others as well.
In a room full of others. And like you said as well, it's a room full of others that I'm hoping we'll have a few young women in between.
Yeah.
And that silent support that's what I took away from it. That you shared a story that is incredibly intimate, that is incredibly trauma. It's a story of trauma. It's a story of finding yourself, losing yourself in a world that's so overwhelming, and you didn't shy away from it. And it really made me appreciate the people in my life that allow me to have my voice. And especially my friends who are with me every step of the way and who stand by me in moments where I feel like I don't have my voice. So thank you.
Yes, of
Thank you
course.
so much.
Yeah, I hope people will get a chance to catch it in theaters because, well, first of all, formally, we made the film for a theatrical experience. We spent 4 months just designing this surround sound that's supposed to be so immersive. I'm kind of a hippie, so we tuned certain scenes to certain frequencies, you know, like healing frequencies. Do you know about that?
Oh yeah, I listen.
Like 500, you know, 38.
Yeah.
Anyway, so certain scenes are tuned to certain frequencies, and you can really feel it in the movie theater.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people
In your body.
they feel it in your body, exactly. Some people say it gets under your skin. Some people say I feel it in my bones. Like so many people said those words to me, and they keep people keep repeating the same set of words, which is really interesting. And so, and of course, same goes with the visuals. Seeing it on the big screen, seeing those actors' micro expressions.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I do want to shout out your cast because wow.
And also the fact that they were improvising so much, there must have been, and with that nature as well in the story, there must have been so much trust on set.
Yeah.
Can I just sneak in another question? Sorry. How
Sneak
did
it.
you find the cast? Because to my knowledge, you and Emma had been in cahoots for a while with it, or
Well, we found her. I've been casting my Lola for 3 years, and then one of my producers was an executive producer on The Brutalist. He called me up one day and he said, "I got the dailies from The Brutalist. You have to go watch this actress." And I didn't believe him. I'm like, I'm not driving across town. What's her name? Never heard of it. And then, of course, he got tacos, and I was there. And I watched her dailies, and I realized, wow, there is something really special here.
Yeah.
I've worked with, dozens and dozens of actors. I've been directing theater for 10 years. I've done directing for 17 years. Like I've gone through hundreds of actors, and I've never seen anybody this unique, strong, and present in a moment.
Yeah.
So that's how I found her. We met over lunch, and she was so the main character. I offered her the role. And then, we found Fionn Whitehead to play Philip. We had a couple of Zooms with him, and we bonded over both of our parents are musicians. And like, as a child of musicians, they make you go to their concerts because you're like free audience. And so we like bonded on the trauma of being children of musicians. And like they want you to play, and they make you go to music school, and you don't want to because the more they push, the more you're like, no,
not my path. Yeah.
So we bonded over that, and we bonded over the fact that I was like, can you be empathetic with this character? Can you find his humanity? Can you not judge him?
Yeah.
And he said yes.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew he's the guy.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't know if I should say that. I was in Venice. I was at the Venice Film Festival. And I was in the middle of a meeting, and I got a message that he accepted the part, like he's gonna do it, and I started crying.
Yeah.
And it was like one of those involuntary things, and I was like, I'm so sorry, I'm just gonna be right back. Those are happy tears, I promise. And it's like I got emotional because I realized that I got my Philip. I got the right guy.
Yeah.
It was like a gut reaction.
Yeah.
And then Zaramir Brahimi, I had to convince her a little bit because she just won Cannes Best Actress for Holy Spider, and so I went and I've met with her in Paris for 3 hours, and we bonded over female silence and the stories that women tell, and the need of women to tell their personal stories.
Yeah.
Because that's something also she wants to do. She's prepping a film she wants to direct. And so she came on as an executive producer on a film as well. But yeah, they were really fabulous. They felt the characters. They put in an enormous amount of prep and work into research, but also they spent some time together. We spent a lot of time rehearsing. This was Emma Laird's first leading role.
Yeah.
And she was so cute. We did a lot of rehearsals. Like they lived together in an Airbnb, and then we would rehearse every day. And she said something. She was like, "I've never rehearsed before," because she's done TV and like those films where you like show up on set and people are like, "Okay, you're standing over there, action."
Yeah, like do this. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really wanted to make sure the actors have time to inhibit these characters, and I've put together a rehearsal plan with an acting coach because I wanted to get them to really internalize these characters. Wow. And I think it worked.
I think it worked very well.
It did work.
It worked very. The emotions of that film and their performance. I laughed. I cried. It was fantastic, and it shows to exactly your mission and what you created is safety for them. And this intimate setting and this story that I can't wait for everybody to see.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Well,
Thank
Alex,
you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
We've
very
reached the
much.
end of this interview,
Yeah.
but we love you and we love this film.
We can't wait to see what's coming up next.
Exactly. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was a joy.
We hope you enjoyed that wonderful interview. Again, Alex, thank you so much for coming on here. We had such a joy. It was such an interesting, empowering conversation. So thank you so much. And to our listeners, if you have the chance to follow Alex and the film, you can find them on Instagram. I know that Satisfaction has a page. And Alex posts a lot about her next steps and where Satisfaction is taking her and the crew. So that's really amazing. And there's also a website. And we're also gonna, follow.
Yeah. We'll have some, we have our Substack and we'll also be doing some little bit more in-depth reviews or things we particularly liked from the film. So follow us on our socials.
Yeah,
for
and
that.
if there's anything we'd like you to take away from this episode and this conversation, for all of our fellow female listeners and creatives, don't be afraid to share your story.
Yeah.
And your voice matters and your story matters. So hopefully you can find that inspiration from this film and this conversation with Alex and continue to share your work.
Absolutely.
Thank you
That's
so much.
great.
And thank you to the BFI and Alex.